What's going on, guys? Matty G back here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us. As promised, we've got more on the CONCACAF Nations League involving League A, as match days 3 and 4 are just around the corner. So it's time to give our predictions, see which 4 teams we have going through with an opportunity to hopefully play in next summer's Copa America. Start things off in Group A for match day number 3 on October 13th. And as you can see there on the left-hand side, a live look at the group as the table stands after 2 games for each side, including their goal differential and points. We'll start off with Curacao and Panama. Curacao have lost 4 of their last 5, only scoring 1 goal in that time frame. Hopefully being at home will allow them to play a bit better. They've been competitive so far, but certainly been a struggle for them through their first 2 fixtures. As for Panama, nice little run here, of course, kind of piggybacking off of their run in the Gold Cup straight to the final. They certainly need 3 points in this game, though, especially knowing that they've got Guatemala waiting in the wings for their final fixture. If they want to try and at least stay in those top 2 spots, including goal differential, they really need something here. I do like Panama to secure the victory. Not sure it'll be by a large margin, but at least hopefully they can at least get 3 points and really help themselves stay in one of those top 2 spots. As for Martinique and El Salvador, Martinique on the outside looking in with just 3 points. They have not been quite as impressive up to this point as they were during the Gold Cup group stage. Again, remember this was a fantastic game that these 2 sides had in the group stage back during the summer, with Martinique winning that game 2-1 despite being down a man. Of course, El Salvador have really fought hard against Trinidad and Guatemala in their first 2 games, but really have nothing to show for it. I think this is going to be a game that's back and forth, but honestly, I do feel like El Salvador will be able to get some revenge on Martinique. I'd like them to secure all 3 points in this fixture. As for Trinidad and Guatemala, the final game here on match day number 3, Trinidad won this friendly back in June before the Gold Cup in a 1-0 result. Usually these are tight games between these 2, with Trinidad being on the top of the table. This is a huge moment for them if they can take a win and really propel themselves up to stay that much higher over everyone in the group. But as for Guatemala, certainly have got to get something done at this point. They cannot take a loss, at least a draw at worst. Guatemala, again, we saw played really well in the Gold Cup, but they need a fast start in this game. They can't go down early. I would like to see them really try and set the tempo and be physical with Trinidad, especially knowing, again, that they've got Panama in their final game of this group as well. This is a very interesting fixture for both of these sides. I think it's going to end in a draw, though, as we head to match day 4. On to match day number 4 for Group A, we'll start off with Panama and Guatemala. Of course, a highly anticipated fixture. These 2 ended in a 1-1 draw back in September. It was a tight game, but both teams really struggled to test each of their goalkeepers. I like the fact that Panama is at home. I think that they've done well over the years with some impressive victories there on their home soil. As for Guatemala, this could be a must-win situation. This team, again, they played really well during the Gold Cup. I like what this team has to offer, but again, knowing that they might be in a must-win situation means they're going to have to push more numbers forward. If I'm Panama, I certainly want to keep possession when possible, but keep the tempo how you want it. But if Guatemala keeps a good majority of the possession during this game and Panama's allowed to sit back, hopefully they're able to create turnovers and look to counter on those opportunities. I think that could really help open the game up for Panama in terms of looking to go forward. So for that, I do like Panama taking the win in this fixture. Again, I think it's going to be back and forth all night long. But again, with how well Panama played during the Gold Cup, I think it's hard to bet against them at the moment. As for El Salvador and Martinique, this return leg between these 2 sides, El Salvador, again, doing it on the road as we predicted for match day 3 was impressive, but we know that they can sometimes struggle at home. Of course, the way that field sometimes is maintained, especially if weather's involved as well, can be difficult. For Martinique, I think they're going to look to rebound and know that, hey, that they can play with these guys. They've done it before in the past with the Gold Cup, and even in that first leg, probably playing a solid game against them, but just losing it there at the end. I'd like Martinique to come into El Salvador and at least take a draw from this game. Again, we'll have to wait how goal differential pans out for these 2 sides, because it could determine which side stays up and which side is relegated, but we'll have to wait and see. As for Curacao and Trinidad, Trinidad, I think definitely get the job done in this game. I don't think it should be too difficult for them. Curacao should put up a good fight, but in the end, as long as Trinidad just don't make any ridiculous mistakes, I think they should be fine. Even a draw at this point might be okay for them, but I still like Trinidad to take all 3 points. So, based off those predictions that we just gave, of course, as you can see, Panama and Trinidad would take the top 2 spots, advancing to the quarterfinal. Again, goal differential could come into play. For me, I think that would do enough for Panama to maybe jump over Trinidad. But at the same time, if Trinidad can have a big win against Curacao, that could help keep them atop the table. We'll have to just wait and see. As for Guatemala and El Salvador, obviously disappointing runs, but they're at least still in League A for CONCACAF Nations League moving forward. And then again, keep an eye on those 2 fixtures with El Salvador and Martinique. It really could come into play in terms of goal differential and how this pans out for those 2 sides in terms of which one gets relegated and which one stays up. On to Group B now, as we'll start off with Suriname versus Haiti. Suriname have lost 3 of their last 4 with just 1 draw in that span against Grenada. Probably deserved more considering their play against Cuba and Grenada in their first 2 games, but unfortunately just sitting right now with 1 point. As for Haiti, kind of a similar story. Really wasted a chance against Cuba at home, not being able to take 3 points from that fixture, but a gritty point on the road against Jamaica. That's why they sit with 2 at the moment in 4th. Again, this is a game that Haiti really need to have. They've got to get all 3 points if they want to survive and really stay competitive in this group for those top 2 spots. I like Haiti to win this game. We'll have to see if it's by a comfortable margin or not, but still at the end, I do like Haiti to secure the 3 points. As for Grenada and Jamaica, Grenada have lost 3 of their last 5. A solid point versus Suriname as they actually outshot them during that game, but a big loss that impacted their goal differential against Honduras. As for Jamaica, really, they have not been convincing with their first 2 games against Honduras, but they got the 3 points, and they even trailed 2-0 against Haiti early on in that game before coming back and taking a draw out of it with 2 goals in the second half. I'd really like to see Jamaica be a bit more dangerous moving forward, but at the same time be a bit more firm in the back too and not give up as many chances. I do think Jamaica, even though being on the road, they'll take the win here in this one to help solidify staying in first place. As for Cuba and Honduras, a huge fixture for these 2 games, especially considering they're 2nd and 3rd right now in the group. A lot of credit to Cuba for being, in the mix after how the Gold Cup went. They really struggled in that competition. It's important that they're at home for this game, but as for me, Honduras has played really well so far, and again, played a really solid game on the road against Jamaica. Keep in mind, goal differential. Honduras have a 2 goal advantage in that category at the moment, despite being down a point. I think this game will end in a draw, but knowing that these 2 are going to have to come back and play each other down the road. Now on to Matchday 4 on October 15th. For Group B, we'll start off with Haiti and Jamaica. Of course, a vital game at home for Haiti, knowing that this is probably a must-win situation. Again, we talked before about the 2-2 draw these 2 had back in September. Haiti went up 2-0 inside the first 14 minutes before conceding an own goal and a penalty in the second half for that one to end 2-2. Again, I think Haiti are going to have to push numbers forward if they can't get on top of Jamaica early and set the tone. If I'm Jamaica, again, the attacking options that you have in this contest. You don't really need to push for too much at the beginning. It's really just a matter of can they convert their chances when they get those opportunities. Again, I think it'll be a back and forth game, but I do have this one ending in another draw. As for Suriname and Grenada, bottom 2 currently in the table. Combined, they have no wins in their last 10 games. They drew 1-1 back in September. The goals were in the 85th and 87th minute. I think this is really just going to kind of come down to bragging rights, as I believe both of these sides will get relegated from this table. I think Suriname were a bit disappointed to not get all 3 points, even though they played on the road. A solid point for Grenada. I think Suriname, though, get the job done this time around and at least help boost up that point total just a little bit. As for Honduras and Cuba, a huge opportunity for both. Of course, if the first leg does come down to a draw, this means it's all going to come down to this final leg to seal their fate. And again, a huge chance for both to possibly make a quarterfinal in this Nations League, with Copa America waiting in the wings. For Honduras, I think they'll create more chances and have more possession. It's just a question of whether or not they can be clinical. And again, whether either of these sides make any big mistakes, especially in the midfield or in the back when looking to possess from their own half. I think that's going to be very important for both of these sides, especially when they're both trying to press one another in the right times. For me, though, I do have Honduras getting the job done at home. I think this would be a huge boost for them. We've seen how much this federation have struggled over, recent years. The opportunity to go to this quarterfinal with a shot at going to Copa America could be the shot in the arm that they really need to try and get back into a more competitive environment. Well, there you have it for Group B. As you can see with our predictions, Jamaica and Honduras just getting through with 8 and 7 points. Haiti just narrowly missing out with 6. Cuba not far behind with 5. And then Suriname with 4, just missing out and staying in that relegation zone. But if it does end up like this, what an unbelievable group. With a tight table like this. And again, that just goes to show that even if our predictions are wrong, look how close this table still is in terms of what could change and fluctuate based off some draws or different wins for different teams in this group. So we'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. Certainly still wish some of these teams didn't have to play each other twice in the group, and we could have seen everybody play more opposition throughout the table. But again, though, if it finishes something like this, for very similar, what an absolute great run for this entire table through these 4 games. Well, guys, as always, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And we've got plenty more coming your way with quarterfinal action in November for CONCACAF, as well as more on the Women's Gold Cup coming up early to start next year. So, guys, make sure you stick around for all of that. Hope you have a blessed day, and we will see you soon. Peace.